Good evening. Welcome to this week's episode of the Author Collaborative. Let's stay tuned for a few more minutes and wait for other people to join us. My guest this week is Neelabh Pratap Singh, and he's the most prolific writer that I have the pleasure of knowing personally. In the year 2023, he has already written one book for each month of the year, and I'm really excited to talk to him about how he does it and how he went about writing the book, which I'm going to be talking about. Please stay connected, it's going to be a really exciting episode. We will be talking about Neelabh's book, actually, many books, but with one book in focus. Hello Chaitul, hello Shreyan, thank you. Hello Vatsal, thank you for joining everyone. Without further ado, I will just add Neelabh to the live and then we'll begin the episode. Waiting for Neelabh to join me. Hello Apurva. We are going to talk about Neelabh's book, The Capital Conspiracy, which is the first book in the J.V. Solanki series, and it's an action thriller book. I have read the book and enjoyed it. We are going to talk about how he went about writing that book. Okay, I think there's some Instagram glitch and Neelabh is not able to join me, I guess. I have accepted your request, Neelabh. Are you able to join now? Let me send you an invitation to.
Hello.
Hi, Neelabh. The same thing has happened, which we talked
Um,
about. I am only able to see myself.
yeah, but
But
I'm
okay, we'll
not
continue.
there.
Uh, Instagram does not like me, it seems. Or it likes me too much that it's only showing me my face.
Yeah,
Welcome
Instagram
to the
doesn't want
show one more
you to
time.
get distracted by other faces.
Yeah, yes. Anyway, welcome to the show one more time. I think, what is it, fourth or fifth
Fourth,
time? I'm losing count
yeah,
now.
fourth or fifth. But I'm always excited to be in your life. I get to learn a lot. I get to talk about writing a lot. We writers write a lot, but we don't get enough opportunity to talk, to speak
Yes,
about our
yes,
writing.
yes.
So always
Exactly, and
a
it's a
pleasure.
very
Thank you for having me.
exciting thing for writers to talk about not only their books but their entire process of writing and what books
Right.
they have read in order to,
Yeah.
come to that particular story that they have written. It's always so exciting. So
Yeah.
welcome again,
Thank you
and the book we are
for
going to
having me.
talk about. Let's first show the people the book cover. So this is the first book in the series, and how many more books does the series have in all?
Uh,
So this is
as
the book we are
of
talking
now,
about, The Capital
we have.
Conspiracy, and it is the first book in the J.V. Solanki thriller series, right?
Yeah, and we have seven books till now in this series, and I
Wow,
think
wonderful.
three more sitting in my laptop, just waiting for the right time.
Are they going to come out this year?
No, only one will come this year, and then because they are only first draft, so it will take some time for them to
Okay.
get converted
We have
into
Nilshi
a
here.
finished one.
She's saying hello. Hello, Nilshi. Thank you for joining. Stay connected. For the first time, not for the first time. I mean, I have talked to Neelabh before, but today I have very specific questions for you because I am very fascinated by the way you write action thriller. So my first question to you is, take us through the process of how you write an action scene. How do you begin? Where do you do your research? I want to know the whole thing.
Yeah. So you rightly said that action thriller means there are going to be a lot of action scenes, and it is an integral part of the story. So it has to be dealt with, dealt 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 carefully. I cannot just write action scenes which you can say which don't make sense or leave readers not satisfied or not convinced. So
Hmm.
action scenes need to be convincing, and that's the reason I had to spend, I think, maybe more than a year, because I had the plot, I had the outline, I had everything, but again, I was not writing because I was feeling that I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared enough to write an action thriller, because an
Hmm.
action is not just about fighting. It is
Hmm.
as it is kind of a choreography, or it requires
Yes.
storytelling skills. You cannot
Yes.
just,
Yes.
every time hero cannot throw a punch, every time hero cannot kick. So
Yeah.
there has to be something different in every action scene. The setting has to be different. If one scene is happening in a street, other should be in a building or in a warehouse, or the setting is also an integral part of the fighting scene. When the fight is happening, the two rival members, they are not isolated.
Hmm.
They have to use the setting also.
Hmm.
So that is also need to be very carefully thought before you. So it was a difficult genre, because before these I used to write murder mysteries.
Hmm.
Murder mysteries are more about investigation. Action thrillers are
Correct.
more about fast-paced action. So needless to say, I read a lot of action thrillers. I'm not sure, maybe
Hmm.
90 or 100, 90 books in a year.
Oh,
So
wow.
90 in the same genre. So that kind of dedication I have to, that kind of devotion, it was required. So I read like 90 books in a year.
Wow.
How different
That is
authors
really
are.
commendable. Wow. I'm like respect for you has gone up a notch, but yes, continue.
Yeah. And I watched YouTube videos. There are a lot of self-defense YouTube channels. I got to know after that, that how you're going to defend yourself if someone attacks you with a knife or with a this and that, everything. So people are teaching that in YouTube as well. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then there are veterans, army veterans, who share their experience about their special operations and close quarter combats, about guns, and how do they do maneuvers inside the building when they are going after the terrorist, or all these kind of
Okay,
things,
so
whatever
you
they are allowed
watch
to say.
their
Yeah.
interviews on YouTube.
Yes, they have their channels and their interviews, their podcasts. We have a lot
Okay.
of podcast of
Hmm.
Indian army veterans, because I was very specific that I am not going to listen to the American soldiers. They
Hmm.
have a very different upbringing and modus operandi. What Indian soldiers think, what Indian soldiers do. That's why
Hmm.
I listen to the podcast of a lot of Indian para special forces veterans. We have quite a good podcasts available in YouTube, and
Okay,
the kind of
that's
life
wow.
these people live, it is, we cannot even imagine what all the things they go through. These things are not never shown in any TV series,
Hmm.
any web series, any movies. That kind of thing they go through. So uh, those things also helped me to craft not only action scenes, but the protagonist as well.
Hmm.
So these kind of research I had to do for more than 12 months before I thought that I'm now prepared to write an action thriller.
So this was your first action thriller book, or did you write one before this also?
No, this was the first, which was published last year in January.
Okay, because I have read another book of yours which also had similar
Yes,
action sequences and which were
yes.
also very well written. I think we have spoken about that one
In
in
the
the previous episode.
last, in the previous year life, yeah.
Yeah.
That was written, that is based, that is based in the same series, same universe.
Yes.
Chronologically, it happened like 6 months or a year before
Hmm.
the Capital Conspiracy, but the book came
Okay.
later.
Okay, so you wrote this first and then you wrote
Yeah.
that one, which actually happened in your universe. It happened 6 months prior to it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, that is very interesting. Wow. Another how you went about it in the flashback must have been another maneuver that you had to, develop, right?
Yeah. Because I have to be careful of certain things, that if I'm saying something in this book and it is
Hmm.
not matching with this book, and it is contradicting what has happened in this book, or what the character has done in this book,
Hmm.
and she is doing something different in the past, or
Hmm.
even a minor age gap of 1 or 2 year will also cause problem in the timeline.
Right. I
uh,
am forgetting the title of that book. I know it was Scorpion Ops book
first
one, but what was the title?
first rodeo
So
first rodeo
Studio, right?
Yeah.
Correct. And yes, we have Rihanna Rasool from there who's reappearing in
Yes.
this one also. Very interesting character, I must say. Now,
Yeah.
before I ask you the second question, I want to read out the beginning of this book so that people get an idea what we are talking about.
Yeah. Sure.
So I'm going to read out the first few paragraphs of the book, The Capital Conspiracy. Here, Saturday, February 26, Connaught Place, New Delhi, 7 p.m. Jaiveer J.V. Solanki saw Jess Scott climbing from her Renault compact SUV. The last he had met her was 17 years ago in Srinagar, the capital city of Indian northern state of Jammu and Kashmir, when he was a commando in the parachute regiment of the Indian Army. Jess was 45, tall and lithe, pale white complexion, chiseled face. The hairstyle had changed though. Straight, parted from middle, curving up just above the shoulders, as opposed to the long mane that she used to scrape back into a neat ponytail. The attire had changed too into a formal black power suit instead of smart fit jeans, leather jacket, and hiking boots. It's been 17 long years. She isn't a rookie officer of the Intelligence Bureau anymore. She slung her bag over her shoulder and beeped the lock. He was supposed to be sitting in a cafe in the N block of Connaught Place. Popularly called as CP, it was the main commercial hub of central Delhi, a sprawling circular market having colonial style white buildings with tall circular columns along the corridors. However, he thought to receive her at the parking lot instead of waiting for her in the cafe. He thought it would look more gentlemanly. So this is how the story begins. And I like how in the first two pages itself we have the first action sequence. You are like getting right into it.
Yeah. But it's I mean it is not not something unique, I would say, because uh, lot of action thriller novels, they throw their protagonist into trouble right from the first paragraph.
Hmm.
There are books, I mean, some are just kept here. The protagonist, the first was for the first sentence itself is like Cotton Malone is the protagonist of Cotton Malone thriller. So the first line itself is uh, like Cotton Malone dove to the floor as the bullet passed over his head. So the first sentence itself is a that someone is shooting a gun at him. So yeah,
So is
it
that like
creates
a
a sense of urgency.
peculiar trait of action thrillers where you are right into it from the
Yeah,
first few pages itself?
right. I, I believe this is. I'm not sure if it was happened something like it was natural approach, or like people wanted that, because now we have ebooks, we can download samples, but previously people used to go to bookstore, pick up the book, read
Hmm.
the first paragraph. So these action thriller writers, maybe they wanted that we should show them the action right on the very first line so that they are convinced to buy our book. Maybe that could
Yes.
have been the approach.
That's actually a very smart move also. And I think the same also goes for other genres where, in fact, even in romance, which I write, I have now that we are talking about it now I have realized that within the first few pages, if you're not having the first meet cute, you lose the audience.
Yeah.
So yeah, which brings me to my second question, which is what comes for you first, the plot or the characters, and then how do you go about weaving the story around that?
See, for the genre I write, crime, like murder mysteries or action thrillers, in these genre, and especially I write in series. In my series have like 8 books, 10 books. So there is when you have such a long series and they are episodic,
Hmm.
so there is not a single story that is going on
Hmm.
from book one to the last book. Every book has a different story, so it leaves very less room for the character development. You can develop the character in the first book, maybe a little bit in the second book, but up to eighth and ninth book there is nothing left to develop. So that's the reason plot is going to be super important. So
Hmm.
uh, so that's why I have made a decision for myself that I will put plot
Plot
uh,
first.
as at the as the first priority, and maybe if the plot demands, I develop the characters as well accordingly.
Hmm.
Like in JV Solanki series, you will hardly see JV Solanki changing from first chapter to last chapter. Yeah,
Hmm.
some things happen. He realizes something, or he uh, changes something in himself, but more or less he remains same, and he changes things around himself. So there are certain things which are going in certain way, and JV Solanki comes in and he changes those things. So that is the approach I follow. Yeah.
We have Akshobhya here. I think
Yeah.
what
Yeah, I was
I
waiting for
think
him.
he missed his comment. I am just scrolling up. Even your intimate scenes are eternal
Yeah.
elections.
That, that's what brings money, man.
That is true, actually.
Yeah. I mean, not for murder mystery or crime thrillers, but romance definitely.
Yeah, ask me. I was pressurized into putting intimate scenes because I didn't have those in my first novel, Love
Mhm.
Triangle. And then a lot of the romance readers who read the book, they were like, but इसमें romance तो हुआ ही नहीं.
Yeah.
तो
Yeah.
I had to put something
That is
more
the
steamy in the
that is the convention in the genre. A lot of people say कि अरे ये जानबूझ के डाला है to, I mean, it's a gimmick, it's a marketing bit, but that is genre convention. Like in murder mystery, if I don't show blood, if I don't show uncomfortable violence which makes you uncomfortable, then I mean क्या है? फिर तो I'm not writing murder mystery if there is no blood. So same goes with romance.
We have a question from Arun Krishnan. He's asking, how did you transform into an Akshara? I am not able to read that word.
It is an insider joke. Thank you, Arun. Now you are letting the entire world to know my nickname.
What is that word, but?
That code word is Akshar. It's a, I mean, it is two words. Akshar Rakshasa. So
Oh,
like we say he's a beast. So Akshar Rakshasa, he's a beast of words. He's a Rakshasa.
oh,
I mean, because
ah,
of my output. And the question he has asked, I'm not going to answer. It's a
okay,
trade secret.
yeah. Inside joke है तो फिर नहीं, I can't expect you to answer. And then explaining to a real life better house that its fiction is the challenging part. Oh, please, yes. And not just explaining to better house, it also becomes difficult to explain to the readers. They sometimes make the assumption that whatever we are writing is based on our personal experiences.
Yeah.
बताना पड़ता है नहीं मेरी लाइफ में ऐसा नहीं हुआ है भाई.
Yeah, especially romance writers. I mean,
Yeah.
every book they will say this is your biopic, kind of your personal experience biopic. यार अब तक तो अब 10 रोमांस लिख ली, इतना तो प्यार ही नहीं हुआ था लाइफ
Yeah.
में. Anyway,
Okay. That brings me to the end of my questions that I had for you, Neelabh. You have
right.
also read my book, so now the
Yes,
floor is yours.
definitely. So first, I would like to show the cover of your book, which I have read recently. So it's a uh, quite a lovely, quirky illustration. Knight
Thank you.
in shining armor. I think the screen is shining too much. I know it. I don't know it's visible or not. But the title is Knight in Shining Armor, and
Yes.
I like what you did with Knight. So it's really witty. But yeah,
Yeah.
yep, that's it. So
Yes.
there are, I think, over 50 poems in this book, but there is one which I not only loved, but I can relate to the each and every sentence of that poem, and I'm going to read that. The title
Okay.
is
I'm curious which poem is this.
the title is Avoiding the Crowd.
Okay.
This is kind of, I mean, अंदर से बिल्कुल आया कि avoiding the crowd. Yeah, this is my zone. Okay, avoiding the crowd. If the earth becomes uninhabitable, or if it becomes possible to visit outer space without losing my mind or a few body parts, I would want to avoid humans or any crowd because they have already ruined one living space. So any planet is out of my list because men, they say, are from Mars and women from Venus. Hence, I would go to the moon instead. We have known each other a long time anyway. It knows my secret more than any living being. What with my late night ponderings and confessions, that little blob of white is my buddy, my literal long distance friend. And how wonderful would it be to see, feel, and be atop something. I have been admiring and falling in love with a little more every time I gaze at it. I would be happy dedicating these lines from one of my favorite Bollywood songs. अब इसको मैं गा तो नहीं सकता, but I can read. uh, and I am very bad at reading, and especially when it comes to song. मतलब कई बार मैंने ऐसा हुआ है कि people say यार भाई मात्र गाना गाना तो थोड़ा बोल भी मत. Anyway, आई ऐसी रात है जो बहुत खुशनसीब है, चाहे जिसे दूर से दुनिया वो मेरे करीब है. And the
That
best
was
thing is,
good.
you have given suggestion for the songs. I'm not sure what your intention was, but I think your intention was to play that song in the background and then read the
Yes,
poem. Yeah.
yes,
So
that
I
was
tried for a few songs, and yeah, it was. I mean, it was kind of different experience. I'm not sure I can articulate in words, but yeah, that was a very
So, did you play the songs when you were reading a few poems?
play. Yeah, I mean, when I was reading, I played the song that was you mentioned at the starting of the
Okay.
chapter.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
how was that experience?
yeah, that was I was saying. I mean, it was something different. I thought कि चलो try करके देखते हैं, because when I started reading, yeah, best paired with there was a song वाला चलो ठीक है, there could be something. Then with every poem, it was you suggested a song, so I thought must be there should be something. Let's try. So I tried with one or two poems, and it was, I mean, the kind of you can say it sent you in a certain zone, and it's very difficult to explain. But yeah, when you read and when you listen to the music, then you'll understand. And I mean, yeah, our
So, so
brain is
happy
very
to hear
smart.
that.
It
Yeah.
instantly it kind of matches the frequency of the words which you are reading and the tune which you are listening. So very difficult to explain in words, but I would suggest you should try.
So happy to hear that you were able to not only listen to the song while reading the poems, and but that you felt the connection between the two.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what I was saying. And it will be different experience for different person. When I mean, it's not like what I have felt, the same thing and other person will also feel. But yeah, it will definitely send you in a certain zone where you feel that there are definitely connection between the words and the tune and the melody.
Happy to hear that. We have, before we go on, we have one more question from author Arun again. How do you no, describing scenes, dialogues, love scenes, etc. नहीं, कहाँ है question? Given that you write so many books, how do you stop yourself from repetition? Would you like to go first?
Ah, yeah, that is the most difficult part, and I think it comes from constant thinking that what I can do next. And also because I read a lot as well. I read anywhere between 90 to 100 books a year. So if I like something, like I like certain, you can say, action scene or certain storyline, and I feel that I read on Kindle device, on my Kindle app on my phone. So if I certain action scene I found really interesting that I have not read something like this before, I copy paste it and keep it in a folder in my Gmail draft, so that later on, so I have a kind of, you can say, a bank of those action scenes. So like if certain action scene is happening in a certain abundant steel plant, so I just write a quickly 4 or 5 lines, action scene ideas. So maybe later on I can refer to it. So that way reading helps. It gives you different kind of ideas.
Yes.
Or sometimes when I read 3 or 4 different books, then I think if it is happening in France, so similar thing if we can do in India, where could, in which city or which place or what setting it could be. But having said that, it is very important that since my stories are set in India, the setting should not look like it is happening in the US or any other country, because
Okay.
वहाँ इतना ना इतना traffic है, तो chase scene बहुत easy होता है. Car chase is very easy there. I cannot have a car chase scene in Mumbai unless it is some outskirts, or I mean, if a certain thing is happening in a railway station, it is different in a European country, and it will be completely different if it is happening in an Indian railway station, because of the crowd and the kind of people.
Right.
So those kind kind of things I have to think what would happen if someone shoots a gun here in a railway
Hmm.
station, what would happen? क्या क्या पहले तो कैसे कैसे लोग होंगे वहां पे, what would happen, क्या
Hmm.
क्या हो सकता है? So those kind of things have to be very careful when thinking about the Indian context.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, unlike you, for me the characters come first and then the plot comes. So my characters generally, when they come to me, they have their own unique personality traits,
Mm.
and I think that helps me avoid repetition in my stories, especially long form fiction. And that's what makes the story unique, and that has so far helped me avoid repetition because each character is so unique, from so different from the previous characters that I have written. I'm able to put them in settings and situations which are different also. And for poetry, something that I have learned over the years of writing poetry is that it doesn't matter if your feelings are true, and you feel like you have not written something like that before, it will come out uniquely. It doesn't matter if you are repeating yourself, but तुम कैसे उसको present कर रहे
Right.
हो वो matter करता है.
Completely,
So yeah.
completely agree because I mean maybe people won't notice, but when I'm writing a book, sometimes I feel that this scene or whatever happening here, it kind of matches with the third book of the series which I have written there. उसमें भी
Hmm.
ऐसी किडनैपिंग हुई थी, फिर वो ऐसे बचाने गया था और इस तरह से कुछ आई मीन आई ऑलवेज फील
Hmm.
ऐसे फीलिंग आ जाती है, बट द थिंग इज हाउ यू आर पुटिंग इट अक्रॉस.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there
Okay.
the characters were different.
Yeah.
Here the characters are different. So
Huh. So
definitely the
each character will react differently,
yeah,
even if you are putting them in
yeah,
a similar situation,
yeah,
or if the scene has happened somewhere else in your previous books also. You
yeah,
don't know how this particular character will behave in that
right,
particular
right.
situation.
Yeah, I just realized it when you said. Otherwise, I wouldn't have thought about it. See, that's why
Okay.
I'm always excited for to join your session.
Yeah.
Lots of things to learn.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
It's
so
a give and take. We learn from each other.
right.
Yes.
So I also
It's
have
your turn.
quite a few questions for you, very difficult questions. 5 मार्क के questions भी हैं, 10 मार्क के भी हैं, multiple choice भी हैं.
Okay.
Okay, negative marking भी है.
अच्छा
Anyway,
नेगेटिव मार्किंग भी है. चलो फिर.
okay. So I have based the questions. First, I would like to speak about the book, uh, Knight in Shining Armor. So, uh, the theme which you have picked for this book is quite, at least I found a bit peculiar because it is centered around the theme of, and as the blurb says, nightly experiences and encounters. I mean, I would have never thought of such a theme if someone told me to write a poetry. Uh, so again, it's quite peculiar, and yet there was certain enigmatic about this theme. When I started reading first poem, second poem, third, when I reached fourth or fifth, then the aura was, I was feeling like I'm sitting in the middle of night, maybe in a dark street or in my balcony. So again, was it a conscious effort? And what was your thought behind picking up this theme?
So, uh, with Knight in Shining Armor, the total number of poetry books that I have written now is has come to three, and it's been a few years since I'm writing now. So, over the years of my experience as a writer, something I have gauged from the readers is that when you are writing a poetry book, and when you make it a particular theme-based poetry book, the readers receive it better than when you are putting out something which is a mixed bag of poems. Like you are trying to convey a lot of things in a single book, if through poetry, then the audience doesn't accept it as well as they would probably accept a theme based book. This is
Mm,
what I have understood from the three poetry books that I have written so far, because my first book, A Rustic Mind, it had a poetry which was of various genres, and I'm not saying that the poetry was not good. Of course the poems were good, but they were not received as well as the other two poetry books were received. And I observed that because they were theme based. People were able to, you know, not only read it faster, but they were also able to connect to the poems better, connect with the words better, and they were very well received in comparison to the first book. तो ये तो सीख लिया था कि थीम बेस्ड पोएट्री बुक्स होनी चाहिए. एंड देन एज आई हैव गेन्ड एक्सपीरियंस, मुझे अपने आप को भी समझने का थोड़ा टाइम मिला है. सो आई हैव स्टक टू दैट पर्टिकुलर genre in poetry or particular you know preference in poetry writing, where I make it about myself, about my experiences, about the things that I enjoy. So in my previous poetry book, which was mindful musings and peaceful ponderings, I focused on talking about emotions. I am somebody who had difficulty expressing or embracing my emotions. So that particular collection came out while trying to understand and gauge through my own emotions, and that was received well. And when I was thinking about what my next poetry book should be, I thought about it hard, and then I thought night is also something, nighttime is also something which I'm very close to, because I'm a night owl. I don't sleep early. Generally, I'm up till at least 2 or 3 a.m. in the night. So I have experienced nighttime a lot in my entire lifetime, and I enjoyed that particular hour of the day. So that's how the idea came about, and I went about it. So it's a mix of both understanding the readers and understanding what I enjoy writing in poetry.
Certainly, night has, I mean, it has something mystery, definitely, it has some mystery around it. And also because I love Batman right from my childhood, and Batman goes out only in the night time, so all his animated series episodes and movies, all they are mostly dark and set in the night. So
Yes.
yeah, so I am automatically feel drawn towards night. So when I was reading, I was all thinking that all those episodes of Batman animated series that I used to watch.
Okay, that's nice to know.
Okay. Okay. So do you have a favorite romantic poetic theme that you often explore in your work?
You know, uh, I had not thought about this until you asked me the questions. But now that I have, started seeing a pattern in my own writing, I realize that I write a lot about self-discovery, self-acceptance, self-love. There's a
Hmm.
lot of self involved in my poetry, and that's a repetitive theme. And I'm not sure if I'm going to give up that anytime soon. I enjoy writing about the self. I enjoy uh, talking about self love, self acceptance, self discovery, and all of that, and also self growth. So that's a repetitive form that appears in my poetry and my in fact also in my fiction writing. And another thing that I tend to write about is the things that I enjoy, like nature, reading, music. These all things and elements appear in my writing a lot, in my poetry and my fiction. So yeah, these are the themes that generally appear in my writing.
Yeah. And I agree with the self emotion and this part. And definitely when I read your poetry, I can feel uh, those things are there. I mean, trying to express your emotions, or people who are having difficulty in expressing themselves. Those subtle things are there somewhere if you have a keen eye. So
Yeah. So do we have any questions now from the audience? No, we don't. Or do we? Do you find one easier than the other between poetry and prose in terms of how you write them? For me, poetry is very easy, but it might not be the case for people who don't enjoy reading or writing poetry. I've been writing poetry for a very long time, and poetry is something I have written for the longest time. Like short fiction and long fiction, I have not written as much as I've written poetry, so poetry is easier for me.
I can see when I read your novels and when I read your poetry, I can feel you are feeling more natural when you are writing poetry.
Yeah.
It comes much more easier than the novel. But yeah, novel, because it is when you are writing a 250, 300 pages book, that that makes 50 or 60,000
Yeah.
words. So that's quite a lot, 60,000 words. So the story has a start, a beginning, a middle, an end, and
Yes.
that goes for all the characters who are there in the book. So it's a difficult thing. It's not, it doesn't come naturally because you are playing God. You have to
Yeah.
take care of a lot of lives,
Exactly.
and you have to see through that everyone's journey is completed by the
Yeah.
end of the book. Yeah. It's more like a carpentry job. You are
Yeah.
starting with a wooden block, and you have to make a chair or something out of it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it requires much more effort.
It requires much more patience, and what I find more difficult is going back to the same text again and again.
Hmm.
With poetry, uh, what and short fiction also, you can get done at one go. With novel, that's not possible. You have to keep going back to it,
Yeah.
like for at least a certain number of months.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the end of the audience questions we had so far. And now we come to my favorite part, which is the rapid fire round. So how we'll go is one question I'll ask, one question you ask. Let's start with you. I was, you know, crudely pointed out. One of the guests pointed out that you are the host. You should not be asking the first question. Let the guest ask. पूछ तो.
Okay. Okay. First question, very easy.
Hmm.
A negative marking भी है. Rom. Okay. Romantic comedy, novel, or poetry, which draws you towards itself more, and why? So we know the answer for which draws you towards yourself more, but why?
अरे why तो मतलब because I have read and written poetry for the longest time and also मेरे पास patience इतना है नहीं. I like even in writing in life generally I want things to get done when एक बार मैं बैठी तो खत्म हो जाए तो वैसा. And novel writing requires me to go back to the same thing again and again, which is a drawback in my personality. No, so yeah.
I guess I have to conduct a strict boot
Yeah,
camp for
negative
you.
marking.
Negative marking नहीं होगा, like commando style boot camp. I need to conduct so that you can write more
वो
novels.
एक मीम है ना, पता है जहाँ पे वो पीछे गान लेके खड़ा है तो द मोटिवेशन वी नीड फॉर राइटिंग दैट्स फॉर मी ओनली.
Yeah. Okay.
We have a question from Akshobhya. What's your take about Robert Galbraith thriller novels which are 1200 pages or 5 lakh plus words?
Yeah, I just her latest novel, The Running Grave. It is, I think, more than 1,000 word, 1,000 pages book, 1,200 pages as Akshubhya say. I mean, lifting the book itself from the bookstore, it was a workout.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
my
Assault
biceps are
weapons.
burning.
I
Yeah.
call such book assault weapons.
So uh, I'm not sure. I've read a few books of her, maybe first three books. After that, I'm not sure why I couldn't go back. And also committing yourself for 1,000 pages book, it requires courage more than anything else.
Yes. As
Yeah,
a writer also, and of course to the readers also who read through such books. I mean, yeah, I bow down to both. Uh, it's been a while since I've read any thick books.
yeah,
टीनेज के टाइम पे बात अलग थी. I used to read a lot of thick books. In fact, I used to enjoy thick books.
yeah.
अभी तो नहीं हो पाता यार.
These books written here, George R. R. Martin. These are all 800 pages, 600 pages. So I know I've enjoyed a lot reading them. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe tomorrow I'll pick Robert Galbraith's book. It's just depends on the state of mind. Nothing hard and fast.
Motivation.
Writers
We
का
need the right kind
writer
of motivation.
knows no rules.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all
So
impulsive.
yeah. My first rapid fire question to you is also going to be difficult for you. Now, from the books and series that you have written, is there any particular book or series that makes you feel like I could have written this differently or added something to it?
Yeah. After the 6 months of the release of any book, I feel that way. इसको यार कुछ different करना था. But my first book which you have read, not first book, it was second book, Spy Agency. You
Fine.
have read. So that was, I feel, because after Spy Agency, I wrote a lot of more, I can say, bloody crime thrillers,
Hmm.
uh, more murders, more dark elements. Spy Agency was not that dark.
Hmm.
It was a good mystery. There was investigation, everything that is required in a private investigator novel, but it wasn't, for my taste, it wasn't as dark. Though people enjoy that. My other darker novels, they say, यार इसमें तो बड़ा uncomfortable लग रहा है, but people enjoy that book more. But I feel that I could have made uh, Pi Agency a bit more darker, added a few more
Okay.
dark and, you can say, things which make people uncomfortable. I love
Hmm.
doing that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the next question I have for you is, okay, this is also an interesting question with, but no negative marking.
Hmm.
As an author, suppose you have got, there's a hypothetical situation, you have got two choices. First
Hmm.
is you will get a lot of fame, but you won't get money.
Hmm.
You will get very little royalty. And second thing is, you will get a steady stream of money, that is royalty, but very few people know about you, or you are not that popular.
Second, for sure. Hands down. मेरे को I want rewards. I don't want awards. No.
Yeah,
Sorry.
पॉपुलैरिटी से इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल नहीं भरा जाता
Exactly. वो एक डायलॉग भी है ना कोई तो मूवी का, प्यार से पेट नहीं भरता.
because see, I mean, there are a lot of ways to be popular, but if you
Yeah.
want to earn money from your book, then definitely people have to read your book.
Exactly.
And you know, readers are also very much like we writers.
Hmm.
They वो ढिंढोरा नहीं पीटते मैंने पढ़ लिया वो,
Hmm.
they read about it, अच्छा लगा तो लगा, नहीं लगा तो नहीं लगा, चुप के next book, they move on to next book. Most of the readers, they do like that only, unless they have a Instagram page, or they are doing
Hmm.
it professionally,
Yeah.
or they love to do about it. Mostly average reader, they read your novel, they like it, they love it. Maybe they make an effort to text you or mail you. Otherwise, they don't talk about it. So you are earning money. It's not like you're not successful, but
Hmm.
people are not talking about you. So there was, it reminds me of an article which I have read. There is an author, this action thriller author, self-published author, Matt Rogers.
Hmm.
So he has
Okay.
written like 50, 60 books, and I mean, he's earning way lot more than any traditionally published author.
Hmm.
And there was an interview, and the heading of the article was, the meet Matt Rogers, a a highly successful author about whom you don't know about.
Okay.
That kind of headline. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Also, as you were mentioning that popularity क्या है? That is also a variable term. What you consider popular might not be popular in my dictionary.
Yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
it comes down to like a household name. Like everyone knows Chetan Bhagat. उसने
Hmm.
book कभी पढ़ी होगी नहीं पढ़ी होगी, that's the other thing. But he knows who is
Hmm.
Chetan Bhagat, who is Amish Tripathi. So that is popularity. But that is a different level of popularity. उसमें तो fame भी है, पैसा भी है. But yeah, but for most of the authors, it's if they are not popular, doesn't mean people are not reading their books.
Hmm. We have a request for you, which Akshobhya is saying you should get your novels translated to Hindi.
Yeah, that is also one of things which I'm trying to figure out how we can do it. One is uh, translation in Hindi, and then audiobooks as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. My turn again. So, this has been a question around for the last few years. It has been rampant in films and books, both as well. I want to understand your perspective on this. Men written by women or women written by men? Which one do you think requires more research and why?
Mm, women written by men. This requires more effort. It is, first of all, it is very difficult. Women characters written by men authors.
Hmm.
So first thing, this is Firstly, it is difficult, very difficult. It requires more than research, more understanding.
Yeah.
More understanding, because men are from वो क्या था भूल गया मैं, men are from Venus, Mars, Moon. Yeah, see, this is why it is very difficult for men to write about women. So because when I was writing this Rashmi Purohit first book, Pi Agency, so I was reading about private investigators, female private investigators in India. First of all, I did not know that there are female private investigators in India or not. Then when I started reading about them, I found that there are more female private investigators than men. So someone has asked, there is a very popular female private investigator. She's first female investigator, Miss Rajni Pandit. She is based out of Mumbai, I believe.
Okay.
She said that it is female are more preferred in this job when you are doing kind of background check of someone, or you have to get out certain data, because firstly, female are better in interpersonal skills, and they understand people, both males and females, better than males. So same goes for writers as well. Female authors understand people generally better. They understand people better than men. Again, not an hard and fast. Don't come with a gun. कि ये तो ऐसा कैसे बोल दिया. But generally ऐसा होता है कि female, they understand men or women better than male. So it is a bit easier for them. बाकी तो you can confirm better whether it is easier or not.
In this day and age, I also think that it's become more difficult for men to write women, because you don't know where and when somebody might get offended. What you have written and what they might take out of it, you can never gauge.
Yeah, that is occupation hazard, we can say.
Yeah. Okay. Nicely answered, though. You dodged a bullet there. Good one.
Okay, so
Your turn.
it's my turn, right? So my next question is genre which you feel is almost impossible for you to write.
Almost impossible.
Yeah.
Almost impossible. ये तो कभी सोचा नहीं यार, because I'm also trying out thriller. मुझे लग रहा है action थोड़ा सा difficult होगा मेरे लिए.
Okay.
Because I've never tried that before. I've tried my hand at thriller, and I'm in fact working on 2 thriller stories right now. So that is also challenging for me, but I am able to do it somehow. नहीं है तो मुझे लग रहा है कि वो थोड़ा difficult होगा.
In fact, these psychological thrillers, like we had this girl on the train, or the woman in the window, or something like that. All these domestic psychological thrillers, female authors are ruling the charts.
Yes.
Yeah, because psychological thrillers, again, we come to the same thing, that female understands psychology better. So they can write a very twisted, crooked kind of psychological thriller better than men. In general, what I find, men writers, they like to boast their knowledge. मुझे बहुत पता है, मैं सब जानता हूँ. I know about guns, I know about spy tradecraft, I know about politics. So they all, in every page I see, especially I mean, I won't name those authors, but I've seen these authors, every page, every word is boasting. Oh, I know so much, like that. But female authors, the thrillers which I read, all my Rashmi Purohit mystery and the other murder mysteries, all those are inspired from books written by female authors more than the male authors, because the kind of mystery and this twisted psychological villains that they create, it is not possible, I think, for males to come up with such interesting characters.
Okay, this is interesting. Something new I came to know, that you have taken inspiration from more female written books.
Yes,
So yeah,
right.
that's nice to know. Okay, that brings me to my next question for you. That it's a tricky one. You are not naming names here also. Previous question maybe तुमने avoid किया, but अब कैसे करोगे? A book or series you couldn't finish, and why?
Now you got me. See, there are a lot of series which I started, but somehow I could not finish. One is very popular, Lord of the Rings. I
Okay.
started first book. I read this George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire, which is Game of Thrones. I read this entire series, and I read somewhere that George R. R. Martin was inspired from Lord of the Rings. So I thought, why not read the one which inspired this Game of Thrones series? I started reading Lord of the Rings. I don't know. I could not even finish the first book. I don't know what was the reason. I just could not connect to the world, to the characters.
Because I have not read the books, but I have heard from the readers and the fans of the show that the books are hugely different from what is shown in the series. Probably
Maybe,
because
but
you have watched the show first and then you have read the book, you are not able to make the connection.
okay, but I haven't even watched the show or the
अच्छा show
movie
भी नहीं
of Lord of the Rings.
देखी okay.
But
Hmm.
still, I don't know. Maybe I was impressed more by Game of Thrones, which are more based in reality, and Lord of the Rings was more epic fantasy. There are
Hmm.
more magical elements and
हाँ,
creatures. Maybe that's the reason I could not have uh,
possible.
established a connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
Okay.
many Lord
We
of the
had
Rings
enough
fans are
finally.
going to come after me.
Okay, your turn.
Okay. So, uh, any uh, any real life incident which has become a part of any of your book, but no one knows about it, or not many people know about it.
There are more than a couple. I think the the example that comes to the forefront is the one which I have turned into a story itself in one of my books. In my book Under the Mistletoe and Other Stories, there's a story titled At the Stroke of Midnight
Hmm.
that is inspired from a real life incident and personal experience. In fact, I was stranded at the Charles de Gaulle airport. I had a connecting flight from Schiphol to the Paris airport and then from Paris to Mumbai. And I was stranded at the Paris airport for 12 plus hours. My flight got cancelled. And I have taken that example and turned it into a story in Under the Mistletoe and Other Stories. So, which is similar, where, there's a group of passengers stranded at the airport on New Year's Eve. They were planning to go somewhere. They couldn't go because their flight got cancelled, and how they become friends with each other. So, वो पूरा story inspired है real life से.
Yes.
And there are a couple of incidents in both my novels, like the scene where Aisha has her first day in college, where she's asked to perform in front of the seniors and the whole college. That is, I think, सबके साथ हुआ ही होगा ऐसा कुछ ना कुछ. तो पहले दिन पे तो रैगिंग होती ही है सबके साथ. So that was also something I took out from my own personal page, and a lot of poems from both my poetry books, Mindful Musings and Knight in Shining Armor. They are also based on personal experiences. एक Mindful Musings में है जहाँ पे I'm talking about someone meeting me for the first time, a friend of my husband's, and they introduced me to the group by saying that I'm Manan's wife, and I immediately corrected them that it's not Manan's wife. It's Manali Desai first, and then it's Manan's wife. So वो भी एक personal experience है.
Good.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
Okay, my next question to you, because a lot of authors are not open to receiving feedback, which might not be very positive, and I want to understand from your understanding that what is more difficult as an author, being critiqued as a new writer or being critiqued as a writer who has had many books written. What becomes more difficult for a writer to accept?
I think second one, because by that time you are accustomed to all one stars and two stars, uh, but you, I mean, because when you've written your first book or second book, you are really excited that what people are going to think about my book. I mean, it happens with every book, but the excitement level is different when you are putting out your first book, especially in front of the world. But
Hmm.
after after a few books, you start receiving feedback. You're working on that feedback. You are making changes in the next book. So these cycles become a part of the writing life, part of your writing life. So it doesn't feel something different at
Hmm.
that time. You feel it is
Hmm.
part of a process. Someone is not liking my work, like uh, J.V. Solanki series first book. It is a seven. Until now we have seven books. Many people are criticizing seventh book for some reason. So yeah, that they're saying that now the language is a little bit difficult because I've also improved with time. So
Hmm.
apparently they preferred simple language, simple English more than what I am doing. So and also if you have noticed, I use fragments in my books a lot. Fragments. The sentences are not, they don't seem
Yes,
complete.
yes,
Fragments.
yes.
So
I noticed that.
many people say that they like those fragments. It shows a sense of urgency in the action scenes. Many
Hmm.
people say no, this is a grammatical error. You should not. You should
Hmm.
follow the sentence structure where there is a noun, there is a verb, and there is everything. So there is both, and it comes down to what is your taste and what is your choice. And but you understand this only when you have written lot of book and you
Hmm.
have written a lot. You have received a lot of feedback. So it
Yeah,
becomes a part of the process.
I completely agree with you. In fact, as you grow as a writer, you begin to understand that how important that critiquing is for you to improve. वरना तो तुम वैसे ही रहोगे. Where will be your growth and how will you improve on your writing?
Yeah.
And
And
uh,
also,
yeah,
it is
you were saying.
important to understand the negative review. Positive
Hmm.
review में सब कुछ अच्छा अच्छा ही हो कोई very good story, very good characters. But if someone is giving you 1 star, it hurts. But you have to understand, if someone has read your book, that means he has he has invested a good part of his day or week or month for your book. And if he's giving a feedback, that means he's considering you important of sharing his thoughts. Otherwise, क्या है, एक star देके निकल लो और यार कुछ भी मत दो. But if they are writing a negative review, that means something was wrong,
Yeah.
and you understand what wrong you did, and uh, is it worth changing, or your work is not made for that reader. You have to differentiate. For
हाँ.
example, अगर कोई, if there is a customer who likes who rides BMW.
Hmm.
Okay, he loves
I love
BMW.
this.
He likes to
I
ride
love this.
BMW.
I am now remembering our very first live where you
Yeah,
used a car
car
example then
example.
also. Continue.
They are never going to love WagonR.
Hmm.
Feature नहीं है.
Hmm.
But does that mean Maruti should stop producing WagonR? No. It just means that they are not the target
Audience.
customer.
Yes. Hmm.
So, yeah, target audience. So that you need to, as an author, you need to differentiate.
Yes. I remember from our very first live, I think you had used the example of driving a car, right? And I'm not exactly remembering. Refresh my memory.
That was basically that was the writing process. Like if you know where you have to go, you can take any number of paths. You can take left to a small street, and then you can use a main road. But when you don't know where you are going, so maybe you are going round and round in the same neighborhood. You are not going anywhere. So that was the example I told you, that
हाँ, तुम्हें
you
destination
should
नहीं पता तो how will you
destination,
drive,
हाँ,
right?
it is good. I mean, जो रोमांटिक वे ऑफ थिंकिंग होता है राइटिंग का, कि जस्ट आई वांट टू राइट, लेट्स सी कहाँ मुझे स्टोरी ले जाती है, बट मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम यू आर स्टक एंड देन यू ब्लेम राइटर्स ब्लॉक.
Hmm. No, I तो don't believe in writer's block at all. मुझे तो लगता है laziness ही है.
Laziness and I mean, yeah, there are times when you cannot write due to certain reason.
हाँ, of course,
Yeah,
there's a mental block because something probably has
mental block.
happened with
Yeah.
you or around
Hmm.
you.
Yeah, that is more of a mental block,
Hmm.
that you are mentally exhausted. Like after writing these many books, I am totally exhausted now these days. I don't even feel
Hmm.
like writing. Though until last week I was writing 2,000 and 3,000 words per day. So it's not
Wow.
like I don't know what to write. It's not like that. I know exactly what next chapter is, what next scene is, but it is
Hmm.
just a mental fatigue.
Yeah. Okay, that brings me to my last question for you. A piece of advice that you would give to your past self, probably the self which, who was waiting for that debut to happen and turning into an author, what would be that piece of advice?
Uh, I would say don't look at the best-selling authors. Don't look at what best-selling authors are doing. Just keep writing,
Hmm.
which I
Yeah.
did, but maybe a little bit late.
Hmm.
Just keep writing. The best way to market your book is to write the next one.
I remember this piece of advice from the last live.
I should ask for royalties.
I think you were also given that advice by somebody else, so you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
really
अब
claim.
वो मैं नाम नहीं बताऊंगा नहीं तो फिर मुझको रॉयल्टी देनी पड़ जाएगी.
Uh, Laziness and procrastination also sometimes underestimating our skill makes writing delayed. Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
मेरे लिए तो definitely writer's block only happens when I am lazy and there is lack of motivation. Otherwise, I
yeah.
am able to write. I know
Procrastination.
मैं लिख सकूंगी.
Yeah, because we writers, na, we love procrastination. We keep on finding ways to avoid writing.
हाँ.
Like, oh, nahi, abhi to mere, I have not acquired enough skills. I will watch 2 more
Hmm.
masterclass by best-selling authors, then I will start writing. Or
Exactly.
I am not equipped enough. I have to do some more research. तो अभी मैं travel करने जाता हूँ उस जगह पे देख के आता हूँ कैसा है फिर लिखूंगा. हो गया traveling ही हो रही है. तो
हाँ.
yeah,
बस कुछ कुछ ना कुछ बहाना चाहिए
yeah,
एक्चुअल हार्डवर्क करने तक
yeah.
डिले करते रहो.
But yeah, for
Oh,
writing, I mean, it's really difficult to open your laptop, staring at the blank screen, and writing those first sentence. It's
yeah.
still, I mean, I've written 30 books, but I still, whenever every day I look open my laptop and a blank page is staring back at me, I still feel really, really difficult to write that first
Yeah.
line. Yeah.
Yeah, that always stays. And it's like uh, एक ही sentence. And after that, it becomes like इतना ही लिखा, इतना ही लिखा, इतना ही लिखा.
Yeah, it happens.
Constant struggle. I can totally relate.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
now it's your turn. Yeah.
there is an example I just wanted to give.
Hmm.
It was from Lee Child, who is the author of Jack Reacher. So he says writing, like any other job, is a job.
Hmm.
So a nurse, a doctor cannot say that I am having a doctor's block. आज मुझे treat नहीं करना है. Nurse cannot say. Max, what they feel that आज office में जाने का मन नहीं कर रहा है. I'm not feeling like going to work today.
Hmm.
But what they do, they have to get out of bed, they have to get up, they get ready, and they go
Hmm.
to the hospital. Maybe they have a cup of coffee, but they have to do that thing. So similarly, it is the thing for writers. So like doctors cannot say we have doctor's block, engineers cannot say we have engineer's block, even truck drivers cannot say we have truck driver's block.
Hmm.
I'm not driving today. They sit inside the truck, they start the ignition, they heat up the truck, they clean their vehicle, they do something to get into the group.
Hmm.
So same is for writers. Yeah.
Yes, and uh, it really works. I must say that when on the days that I am feeling that I will not be able to write, sometimes when I begin to write, it's just muscle memory that's pushing me through, which is which happens only when you are able to start somewhere. तुम अपने आप को यही बोलते रहोगे कि
Yeah.
नहीं होगा नहीं होगा तो नहीं होगा ना यार. You have to start.
Motivation, I'm not getting motivation today, or oh, I need a special place to write, I need a special atmosphere to write. All these
ये तो
things
मुझे
are.
समझता ही नहीं है. This particular thing ना, where writers say I need a particular
Hmm,
place and time to write, I have never understood that
yeah,
because I can write anywhere.
I mean, just
Okay,
uh,
Gautam is agreeing with
stillness.
that one. Thank you, Gautam.
Anyway, so this also brings me to my last question, which is completely opposite of what we discussed now. Which place or city or anything which you would prefer for a writing retreat? Suppose given you are a chance.
Hmm. Okay, it would either be Venice or if a desi location, then anywhere in Kerala, probably the backwaters of
Okay.
Kerala, LP.
Yeah,
That's one of my favorite
yeah,
destinations.
very,
Both
very
of these
good
destinations.
place.
In short, जहाँ पे भी आजू बाजू पानी हो ना वैसी जगह.
Yeah, even I love that. Hills, people say hills. When I don't like hills. But
बस
yeah,
मुझे छोड़ दो, आजू बाजू पानी है, कुछ नहीं दिख रहा, नीचे तक सिर्फ पानी दिख रहा है. I'll be fine. I inspiration आ जाएगा अपने आप.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was good.
so that brings us to the end of today's episode. Do we have any questions or comments that we need to address? Tanvi has been very kind. She has been commenting. Thank you, Tanvi. We also had, I think, one of your friends said hi in between, and we missed that. I don't remember who it was, but thank you, whoever that was. Do you
Yeah,
remember?
yeah. Well, these are all look to be my readers. Thank you for joining.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Hmm.
other our other audience, it would be great if you can buy our books.
Yes. Neelabh has written how many books? Yeah, I'm losing count. Double digits में आ
I
गया है
have
कब से.
written I have written 30 books, released 30 books until now. So go and buy all books, make me rich.
जिसमें से 10 तो इसी साल आई हैं.
Yeah. So I am
हाँ,
writing
10
since
महीने
I've
हो गए.
started writing. I've started, I mean, publishing, self-publishing books. I've started in February 21.
Hmm.
So, and from that time, I'm releasing almost at the pace of 1 month, one book per month, or in 45 days, like that.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So Neelabh has written 30 books and I have written 8 books. You can check them all out on Amazon. Most of
Yeah.
our books are available on Kindle Unlimited, so you can also read them for free if you have the Kindle Unlimited subscription. Do check them out. And once again, thank you for joining me, Neelabh. By the time we do this again, you will already have 4 to 5 books. So let's
Yeah.
see.
Let's hope.
So
Okay.
let's do it again soon.
Yeah.
I
Soon.
have to
So
speed up
when,
my writing to match yours if we
so
want to do this
when is
again.
But when is your next book coming? Because it is a ritual. Whenever we end the show, especially our show, you give a commitment for the next book.
February.
February. Okay.
उतना तो पक्का है. पहले मैंने सोचा था कि I can do one more book this year, but I don't want to push myself that much. The result won't be that good. So, no, it will be February. Decided.
Okay. Yep. We'll be waiting for that book
Yes,
and
and
for
we'll do
our
this
book.
again sometime in March, maybe.
Yep. Sure.
Okay, thank you for joining me, and
Okay.
thank you to the audience. This video will be available on my Instagram and my YouTube channel. You can always go back and check. Thank you. Bye. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.